to the Listen.Better podcast today, Marcia. So lovely to meet you. I've seen you up on podiums and stages speaking before, and I love the passion and energy you bring to your role as head of HR at Four. I know you've been there 20, 21, 22 years. What makes you tick, and what do you love about your role there?
Um, Hi, and thanks for having me. Yes, what makes me tick? I think people who work in HR have a predisposition to want to help people. So I would say helping someone achieve their goal or need and seeing the results of that is such a driver, and I think that's what makes me tick. And I would think other HR professionals will feel the same, whatever role they play within the HR realm. I think they would probably feel the same. So seeing the results and seeing happy people get the thing that they wanted, that that's that keeps me going.
Great stuff. And we've talked a little bit about, in preparation for this interview, some extraordinary partnerships that you've hatched with local secondary schools. So you're a global communications agency and you're talking to secondary and primary schools. Tell me all about that and how did it come about?
I think initially we wanted to engage with a local school in where we were based at that time, which was in London Bridge, and we just found the local primary, went along to the headmistress, and she was absolutely fine with it. And we got some volunteers, and people went in, and people from Four went in and was reading and helping young people with their maths. And then we thought, oh, we could expand this to secondary schools. And because we are conscious that a lot of young people, a lot of even older people don't know our industry, don't know what it's about, what it means, what we do. So with that in mind, I went through and found the worst performing secondary school in our borough, and uh, approached the careers advisor, who literally grabbed me with two arms because of the position they're in and the pupils and the reputation they have. Lots of businesses don't engage with them, so we actively engage with them, and we were working with pupils from years 11 to 13 on careers advice, CV writing. We did mock interviews, we offered work experience at our offices. So we really went full gusto with the primary and secondary school that were on the south side. And then when we moved, because we moved during the pandemic, or moved its head office from London Bridge to Whitechapel, when we moved, we wanted to replicate that in our local community. So we have a secondary school, which is, I think, a 5-minute walk away. The teachers come in and have their staff meetings in our office. They would have English lessons in our office for the pupils. We go there and give careers talks. We haven't let go of the other schools. We still work with them, but just not in the same capacity. So it would be, yes, I will go in and do careers talks and things at the secondary school, but the primary school we aren't able to send the volunteers over to London Bridge for their hour because of the distance and the location. So we work with them in other ways, doing lots of donations and other things, and I still get invites to end of term plays and things, so that's fantastic. And we've got a local primary school to our office in Whitechapel that we work with now, replicating the maths and the reading.
So you talk about we. Who's been driving this initiative? Is this board led? Are you given budget? What's the process internally at Four?
Well, I'm going to say to you, I've been given pretty much free rein. I just come up with ideas. I suggest them to the chief exec before actioning anything. And I was thinking there hasn't actually been anything that I've thought of that hasn't become a reality. So it's just us trying to engage with our community, whatever location we're in, because we're replicating this for our offices in Wales and in Sheffield. Um, so we want to engage with our community. We don't want to be an organisation that people just walk into the front door and walk out and they don't look left to right when they're heading to and from work. So yeah, I've just been able to do what I wish, which is really, really lucky.
That sounds fantastic. You've had so much freedom and certainly job
Abs-
satisfaction from your perspective. Um, Tell me about some of the highlights and benefits, would you say, of giving back, I guess you'd call it, both to mentors and the mentees.
we work with, along with the schools, we work with other organisations, and one of the organisations we work with is called Future Frontiers. They organise mentoring with schools across London and businesses. They marry them up. So through the Future Frontiers mentoring scheme that we operate, we get an impact report at the end of each session, because we do 2 a year, and we get an impact report which the children all say how amazing it is, because they have the opportunity to come to our offices, which is great for them. It's like a trip, and they come once a week for 6 weeks. They come to our offices, they get food laid on, they get a tour of the office, they get to speak to people who work in our environment. So which is great for them. And for the mentors, they're actually trained to be mentors on that scheme. And so that's something they have on their CV, and they can use that going forward, as well as the fulfillment of helping a young person. Yeah, I think that is just amazing and really brilliant. And we've got the next program starts in March, where we have 15 staff members who have volunteered to be mentors again, with the Future Frontiers scheme. Um, Me personally, I think working with children at various stages of their education, being invited into schools to speak to young people, hearing them, listening to how they view life and what they want. They want to be footballers or influencers. We soon convince them that that's not necessarily the way forward, but let them see that there are other options, let them know that working in an office doesn't necessarily mean it's boring. Yeah, giving them exposure to something they may not know about. So all of those things, I think, are the pluses.
Okay, great stuff. And can you share perhaps some of the challenges or the downsides that have come up? I mean, it's a heady mix, teenagers, hormones, workplace.
Yes, so I'm not going to lie, it's not a bed of roses. There are some challenges. I mean, I recall a teenager after day 2 of his 1 week work experience decided it literally wasn't for him. It was too far from home. It started too early. The day was too long. So by the Wednesday, he'd given up the ghost and spoken to the school, and he didn't return. So there are instances that may happen to others. We also had a situation where when we were in the London Bridge office, 2 young 15-year-olds, I think they were, from an East London secondary school, rather than Google for the nearest McDonald's, decided to take numerous buses and ended up on Oxford Street. So we mislaid those pupils for about 3.5 hours. We had to contact the school, who did put all their processes in place. But the pupils returned, feeling very excited. We were at our wits' end, but yes, so there are times where it won't go smoothly, and you know we're used to organising things, and we're adults. We have a list of things we're going to do, and we do them in an order. And then you involve young people who might choose to do other things. So you've got to be prepared for every eventuality, I would say.
That's very honest, and a realistic picture is always helpful on that front. If another comms agency, either their leadership team or their HR head of people, were inspired, and I'm sure they will be, by what you're doing at Four, what would the baby steps they could take to put something similar in place?
I think engaging with a local school would be a starting point. Don't think that the first school you're going to engage with will be welcoming, because the teachers are already stretched and they might view your offering as additional work for them. So don't be put off by that. So have 3 or 4 schools on your list that you want to contact. And I would say drop them an email and just suggest the things that you can do. An hour a week of reading of maybe 2 or 3 employees, I think a school would jump at that once they realise the benefits that it will have.
Fantastic. And presumably there's some safeguarding stuff, that red tape
Abs-
needs to be jumped through.
Absolutely. So DBS checks have to be done, and schools won't allow you to have mobile phones on display and things like that. But once you engage with the school, they will give you the list of things that you need to do before you can move forward. So it's, I would say, after initially getting a yes from a school, I'd say maybe a month to 6 weeks later, you'll be able to start actually working with them.
Fantastic. And then what's good going to look like a year or two down the line? It sounds like you're brimming with passion and ideas right now, but what's the plan? What's the vision?
The vision is to have a constant contact with our community, to have potentially a pipeline of young individuals who want to go into our industry. As I said, we offer work experience to the secondary school children. We also this year will be having a day where we will invite people who are not graduates to come in to do a non-graduate day intake. Young people up to 20 years old who are not in university can come. So we want to progress in that way. We have recently, I think November it was, we were certified a B Corp, and we want to keep that going and improve on our scorings on that. So that's all really important to us, as well as our 350 staff who the HR team also looks after. I must add, we don't just go around to schools and look after young people. So we've got a team of 6. Myself makes 7. I've got a team of 6, and we do a range of things to make sure we're encouraging socioeconomic uplift and diversity within our industry. And I would encourage everybody to do the same within theirs.
Really interesting. I've been at a couple of meetings recently where the idea that PR is a sort of unknown for lots of school children. So it's fantastic work that you're doing to broaden that as a career option amongst school children.
Yes, so they understand when I explain tangible things like the switching on of Oxford Street lights is organised by 4, and so oh my goodness, I know about the switching on of Oxford Street lights, and the adverts on the sides of buses are done by companies like 4 and at Piccadilly Circus. So once you give young people something that they actually know and can see, it makes more sense to them that the comms industry isn't something that they have never realized was there. It's there, it's in the background, it's just doing stuff that they might not realize that's what they actually do.
Inspiring indeed. Marcia, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. I only wish I'd been a school pupil in the neck of woods where you are at this stage, because it sounds like you're really opening doors for people, which is, yeah, really, really smashing. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you so much for having me, and I hope I've helped some other organizations do the same.